Hello, welcome to DIY is my happy place. I'm Amy and today we're going to be talking all about gnome ornaments. I am thrilled to tell you that my sister did a guest post again for me today, and it's all showing how to make very simple, easy gnome ornaments. They're so fantastic. I can't wait to get home. I'm actually on location for a business trip. But I can't wait to get home and make my own ornaments. You can make a lot of ornaments in an hour. In fact, they take probably about 10 minutes each, although it's hard to say because we do them the way that she did them and the way I'll do them is you do a bunch of the different parts of the embellishments first and then put them all together. It's great. You're gonna love it. So if you want to see how to make gnome ornaments, let's have some fun.
I'm Pollyanna. I'm Amy's sister. Years ago, my other sister Christy and I made a bunch of Christmas tree ornaments, and she has saved them over the years. I don't know what became of mine, but she thought it would be fun to make homemade ornaments for her grandkids. And so every year she gives her grandkids a new homemade ornament. And last year she told me that she had been doing this, and I thought, this is a great idea. I want to do this for my grandkids. So I started it last year, and 2020 was kind of a stinky year for a lot of people. So I chose to make these little stunk ornaments, and I had so much fun doing them that I said, yep, I'm for sure going to continue this tradition. So this year I am making gnomes. I found that the best way to do this is to get everything prepped ahead of time and then just kind of assembly line through the process. What I did is I cut out some triangles out of heavy cardstock. It could be any kind of heavy cardstock to a light cardboard, whatever will work for you just fine. But I cut out these little triangles, and then I made some little embellishments that you'll see later. I cut out some fur trim that's made out of just yarn that I got at Walmart. It's big fluffy yarn. It was fun. And then I got some baker's twine and I made some little loops to hang them. And then I made the noses. Now, the noses were fun. So I got some little beads, and beads have a hole in one side because that's they're bead. So I puttied the hole, and you could maybe do this and try to position it so the hole didn't show, but I wanted them to be really nice. So I puttied the holes and then I painted them. Now, I learned this little trick about painting beads that works so nicely for me. So what I did is put a little bit of paint in a little cup. I made my own color. I kind of mixed some colors to get a color that I liked, and it doesn't take a lot of paint. And then I added some water to it. Now, depending on how much color you want to actually have on the beads, depends on how much water you add, but also you can just do this multiple times. So what I did is I put the beads in the water. You can shake it up, or the painted water, the colored water, and shake it up, and then dump them out onto a paper plate, leaving the paint in the cup. Sometimes I use a stick or something to help ease the beads out. I move them around on a plate while using a blow dryer or a heat gun, and just wiggle it every now and then or constantly, whatever suits your needs. And then they'll dry really quickly. Then if you need more paint, you didn't get enough color on there, you can dump them in and do it again as many times as it takes to get the color the desired color. Now, sometimes it's nice to have just kind of a lightly stained look, and this works really well up to a really intense color. I did this until it took me 2 coats, I think, is all, to get the color I liked. It only takes a few minutes. It's really, really the best way I know to color beads. So I got those ready and set those aside, and then I cut out the faux fur beards. Now, there's a trick to cutting out the faux fur, you always want to cut it from the back side, and you slip the scissors under just the fabric backing and not the fur itself. You'll need to leave some extra along the bottom so that that fur isn't just chopped off at the bottom. You want that length of the fur once you flip it over. So you may need to move, like the triangle, I needed to move it up about a quarter to an inch, depending on the amount of fur that had been cut from the front. Move it up a little bit, cut out my triangles, and I cut them a little bit bigger than my triangle just because I wanted them kind of long. But I used my cardboard triangles that I already had cut out as my pattern. And then I got those done and set everything aside, and then I got busy putting them together. Then, and I also had some stockings that I got. They were stockings or slipper socks that I got ladies size from a dollar store, and I used those to make the hat. So I cut those into triangles. Now, I wanted those way longer than my little wooden triangles because I wanted them to be floppy on the ends. So they're almost twice as long as my triangles. And as you can see, the width was just barely bigger than my cardboard, but I wanted it to wrap all the way around, but it was stretchy enough that that wasn't a problem for me. Now, if I was using felt or something like that, I would have had to cut this quite a bit larger to get the same effect. But with this stretchy sock fabric, it worked out just lovely. So what I did is I hot glued a little bit in the middle, and you will have to use hot glue for this project. I cut out 2 pieces of faux fur for each ornament because I wanted it to be nice from the back as well as from the front. So I glued those little triangles to the bottom of the long side of the triangle and glued those together and trimmed up anywhere that I needed if they didn't match perfectly. And then I glued the stocking on. I just glued a little dot in the middle so that that stocking would stay centered. And then I stretched it and glued the one side on the front, and then stretched it and glued the other side on the front. Then I turned it over and stretched it to the center and glued that down as well. So I glued the baker's twine to the top of the triangle, and then I put a little dab of hot glue in the middle of the bottom of this triangle where I put the stocking on. Now, you want to use hot glue because you need this to dry quickly, otherwise you're holding it for a long time. And I glued down that little stocking so it stayed centered. This that is now becoming the hat. Once that glue was dry, then I stretched it to one side and glued that down, and stretched it to the other side, glued that down, and then flipped it over and did the same process on the back. Now, like I said, this fabric was stretchy, so it worked to pull it all the way around and kind of squish it together. The other thing that was really nice is this is kind of fluffy, and so it hides the little flaws on the back. So then I did up the seam in the back, gluing it down and till I got to the baker's twine little loopy loop, and then I pulled that out and made sure that that was not inside the hat, and then I glued around it and glued up to the tip of the hat. I trimmed any little loose things that were on it, and then I glued a pom-pom or two. It kind of worked better, actually. I didn't show it in this, but it ended up working better if I put 2 pom-poms on and squished them together so that there was something nice from the front and the back. But it's just totally your preference what you want to do there. Then I glued the yarn on the bottom of the hat. Now this is the fluffy yarn that I got at Walmart. Isn't this so cool? I didn't even know they made yarn this thick, but it works so nice for this little brim. And I didn't really need it. That hat was looking pretty cute on its own, but I just wanted to go the extra step there. So I glued that on, glued on the little embellishment that I made with just some little twine and a bell, and then glued that little nose on, and then I was good to go. Now I didn't show this, but what I did for the fur too is I used a toothbrush, but you could use whatever you've got. But I used a toothbrush to brush it down, and I used hairspray to hold it in place. Now, when this fur, if it's not stored properly, it gets really kind of wrinkly and stuff. And I've tried all kinds of things to get it smooth, and hairspray works the best. I tried wetting it and using a blow dryer. It melted, not a good idea. The water didn't melt it, but the blow dryer did. And when it got wet, it kind of actually made it more like somebody with naturally curly hair. When it gets wet, it just kind of gets more curly. It really didn't do well, so don't do that. But the hairspray worked really great, and I just brushed it into place where I wanted it, and then I'm done. I think they turned out pretty cute, and I'm excited to give them to my grandkids here. I'm going to give them to them next week. We're going to have our little get together a little early before Christmas, and so I'm excited to see what they think of their little gnome Christmas ornaments. Thanks, Amy, for letting me be on your channel, and everybody have a great day.
I absolutely love having my sister. She's the best. I always think of myself as a DIYer, and she's like the truth. Like, she really is so good. So if you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you didn't know already, we also have another YouTube channel. This one's with my sisters, and it's for furniture flipping sisters. We actually flip furniture. So if you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See ya!